What's up, legends? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm bringing you guys the new player guide to researching augments here in Black Ops 7 Zombies. Now, this one is actually going to assume that you didn't play Black Ops 6, or if you did play Black Ops 6, you played very little, so you don't actually have all that many unlocked already. And essentially, what I'm going to do is just go through each of the ones that I recommend in the order that I recommend, just based on how I feel like they will impact your experience. And hopefully, it'll at least give you guys some sort of idea on which order you guys should be unlocking these. And obviously, at some point, if you guys want to go off the rails and do them in a different order, you're more than welcome to do so. Now, I am going to mention that I'm going to cover 17 of the 24 items and what I recommend for them, and I will do them in order again, in which I think that they will be the most important. Now, just in case there's anybody watching this that's still confused on where you even go to research augments, you're going to go in your main tab here into Zombies, go over to your weapons, over to augments, research augments, and this is where you're going to be able to select which one you're actually researching. Now, I do want to mention before we dive in real quickly, the first four that I'm telling you guys about, or first four items that I'm telling you guys about, if you do research exactly what I'm telling you guys to actually equip, you will have more than enough augment research to be able to then research anything else in the game. When you first log in, there is a criteria that you have to meet in order to research some of these different items, and it's just the amount of augments that you've researched up to that point. So good example is Quick Revive requires 3 augments to be researched, but in the first thing I recommend for you guys are going to be unlocking the first 6 items anyway, or the 6 augments anyway. So you guys will have already met that criteria of being at 6, needing only 3. Now, one last thing, I did actually consider what you're going to have access to at the lower levels. I'm assuming some of you guys might prestige, and then obviously you're going to be limited on the permanent unlock tokens. And so there's going to be like maybe one item that's higher level that you might choose to keep, and other things are going to be unavailable in those earlier levels once again. So that is 100% something I kept in mind when I made the order in which I am recommending. So you guys shouldn't have too many issues being able to utilize these items. And obviously, if there is something that I list later on in the video, just understand that it's maybe something that you don't have access to until maybe later in the progression. Now, the first thing you're going to want to research is going to be Deadwire. It is an ammo mod, and it's going to be very useful for crowd control, which is going to be helpful in the early game. I'm assuming, like I said, that you guys don't have access to many augments. So I think this is one of the best things that you can do early on. You do only have 3 options off the rip anyway, so speccing into Deadwire is going to be nice. I recommend going all the way to Lightning Strike here. A bolt of lightning strikes from above, stunning all normal and special enemies in the area. Can be incredibly helpful, especially if you get one to strike, and then it gives you time to reload, maybe in a pinch or something like that. I'm also going to recommend for the miner that you guys go ahead and get haste, but that's obviously going to already be unlocked. The Deadwire's cooldown will be reduced. Now we're moving over to Quick Revive, and like I said, it does require you to have 3 augments already researched, but because we did Deadwire and we are looking to get Lightning Strike with 6, you then will have access to be able to research Quick Revive second. And for this, I definitely recommend going all the way to Dying Wish here. On lethal damage, become immune to all damage briefly and keep 1 health. Quick Revive is removed on use. You can do this up to 3 times. This basically saves you from losing a self-revive or going down when you normally would, and saving you from having to use a self-revive up to 3 times as long as you rebuy the perk. For the minor augment, I just use Slow Death. You will, again, already have done these first 6 anyway, and it just increases your time in Last Stand. Obviously, I think a lot of these do benefit teams more than they benefit individuals, but the main thing you are going to want to get unlocked for Quick Revive is Dying Wish. Next, we're moving over to Juggernog, and this one is going to require you to have 6 augments already researched, but by the time you've completed your Quick Revive and Deadwire research, you should be at 12. And for the first thing you're going to want to look forward to getting is Probiotic here as the major. Increase your maximum health with Juggernog. Definitely my favorite. I mean, a lot of people, this is kind of controversial, like to use the other one. Some people like Turtle Shell, some people like Reactive Armor. But I think in the early stages, this is definitely something to research, and it's going to save you a little bit of time because you're not going to have to go all the way through the track. So definitely think that Probiotic is going to be the best choice here. And then you're going to want to go that 1 extra tier to get Hardened Plates as your miner. The armor plates have more damage mitigation. I think if you're going to wear armor, it might as well do the most it can. Okay, next we're moving over to PhD Flopper, and if you just did the 3 that's required or that I recommended for Juggernog, it should put you up to 15, which is the amount that you need in order to be able to research PhD Flopper. And this is going to be a pretty good one to actually get. It's not as good as it was in Black Ops 6, but I'm going to definitely recommend you guys go for PhD Slider here. Sliding into enemies triggers explosions. definitely happens to help the most when you're like going around training the zombies and a bunch of them spawn in front of you. Allows you to kind of slide into that group of zombies, causing an explosion, normally knocking them out of the pathway. It's more helpful for the rampage inducer than not, but easily a must-have thing on PhD. Then for the secondary, or I guess the minor, I'm going to recommend Tribologist. This is going to be sliding distance and speed are increased. I mean, they are nerfed quite a bit since BO6, but still my favorite combination to use overall for PhD flopper. And again, after you guys research the amount up to PhD slider here, that will add an additional 6, putting you guys from 15 up to 21 total researched augments, which puts you over the threshold to then be able to research anything else that you would like to without a restriction at any given time. Next, we're moving over to our second ammo mod for research, and it's going to be Fireworks. This one is exclusive, or new, I guess I should say, to Black Ops 7 Zombies here. And we're going to want to work our way all the way through the research to get access to Starburst. Fireworks explode immediately, sending flares through enemies in all directions. This is easily one of the best possible augments to utilize throughout the camo grind. And then I'm going to follow that up by going that extra level for you guys to go ahead and get access to high yield, which will increase the area of effect. Next, we're moving over to our first field upgrade that we're covering throughout this journey, and it is going to be Toxic Growth. Now, you do unlock this at level 29, but it is easily one of the most useful things in the game, so I recommend, if you are prestiging, to use your first permanent unlock token for this. If you guys aren't familiar with what the Toxic Growth can do for you, currently in Black Ops 7, essentially there are spores, either in Survival or on Ashes of the Damned. You basically just put down the Toxic Growth on it, and you use one of the sprayers that are available on the map to spray it while the Toxic Growth's on top, and it has a chance to give you perks, Pack-a-Punch crystals, and even ether tools to upgrade your rarity. So incredibly useful, but this is definitely what you're going to want to research once you've completed your Fireworks. I'm going to recommend you guys go up and get Erdicant here, which is our major augment. Toxic Growth takes up a wider area, and enemies that enter the growth continue to be slowed after. It's incredibly helpful for specifically the bears, and it's what I usually throw down in any moment where I think the bear is going to get in close quarters to me, because it just stops them in place and allows me to have a little bit more of an opportunity to stay alive. Then after that, I'm definitely recommending you guys go all the way over here to the extra charge. That way you can build up 2. I mean, you can always have one on deck. Sometimes you get 2 bears. It's easy to put in multiple locations and just kind of funnel the bears toward it. And it's also incredibly helpful as well for not only the Easter egg thing that we were talking about, but just hordes of zombies too. You can slow down the zombies, guide them through it, and obviously it'll do tons of damage as well. Now we're going to actually head back over and focus on some perks again. We're going to go to Deadshot Daiquiri. For this one specifically, I recommend getting up to Deadhead. Further increase Deadshot Daiquiri's critical damage bonus for guns. For the minor, you only have to go up to the first one, which you're going to the second one anyway, to increase bullet damage to armor pieces. I think armor being one of the main things that is a hurdle here in BO7 zombies, was also a hurdle in BO6 zombies. Any extra damage you can inflict to those armor pieces to then get to the actual enemy themselves is just going to be incredibly beneficial. Next, we're jumping into Elemental Pop, and we're going to be trying to get to this second level here with Citrus Focus as the major augment. If a weapon has an ammo mod applied, Elemental Pop will only activate that one. The reason this is so helpful in the early stages of the game, especially if you guys are working on your camo grind alongside actually doing your augment research, we did talk about Fireworks. Putting Fireworks on your weapon and then having Citrus Focus will increase the amount of times that Fireworks actually activates, because not only does the weapon have a chance at activating it, a Elemental Pop activation will also activate Fireworks as well. Then for our minor augment, I'm going to recommend Vulnerabine, just because it's going to be already unlocked for you. Increase enemy elemental weakness damage. It is nerfed a bit from BO6, but I honestly don't think any of the other ones are exceptionally helpful, I guess you could say. So you don't really need to research Elemental Pop all the way through in the early stages of the game. Next, we're moving over to Double Tap, and this one is going to be incredibly helpful once you actually get all the way through the research here. You're going to want to make it all the way to double impact. Every other successive hit on the same target deals bonus damage. Now, I don't think this is incredibly important to like move up in the list that we have here, essentially just because I think as you're doing the augment research, you're probably going to find it's harder to survive anyway. And the benefits of double tap, at least in my opinion, don't really hit until you get into the 30s and maybe even the 40s, depending on the weapon that you're using, being that when we did start in Black Ops 6, we didn't have double tap, and most of the weapons were falling off in the 30s. Then once double tap actually came out, it allows us to kind of extend that, but due to the fact that you're normally going to pack a punch to level 3 and have legendary probably earlier in your game, especially if you're utilizing the tools that are available within the game, you guys probably won't need the extra damage until you probably have unlocked a good portion of augments. So this is why I put this so far down on the list in case anybody is curious. But outside of double impact, I would recommend using double time, further increase the weapon's rate of fire. And in some cases, it's also nice to put double play on. But obviously, if you're going for double impact, you guys will have access to all of these as well. Next up, we have Vulture Aid, and this one is actually going to require you to get all the way through the first 6 as well. You're going to be trying to get Parting Gift. Ammo drops give more ammo to wonder weapons. This is incredibly useful because anytime you do have a wonder weapon, ray gun, or map specific, ammo typically costs 10,000 or more depending on if you're playing cursed or not, and that ammo does take away a lot from what you could potentially be using for upgrades. So it's really nice to get those extra ammo drops in the early stages, or just in general anytime you're using Vulture Aid and a wonder weapon. And then for the minor augment, I'm going to recommend Picky Eater. On death, zombies have a higher chance of dropping your current equipment. This is extremely useful, especially if you're running decoys or even Casimirs or monkey bombs and you're killing lots of zombies. There's always a potential that another one will drop, giving you just more access to more utility without having to go over to the crafting table. Next, we're looking at Stamina Up, and I'm going to recommend just going up to Free Faller here. Become immune to fall damage, incredibly helpful. There's some places on Ashes of the Damned you could potentially take a little bit too much damage. And I just think it's nice that if anything should happen, if you should fall down on anything, or maybe you're already weak and you just fall just enough to take that much extra damage, that it's just not going to ever happen. So having Free Faller, and considering that I don't really think the other augments are all that much more powerful, it's just easy to do the 2 research here and then put Hard Target on. While sprinting, projectile damage is reduced. I think for something like the boss fight, specifically on Ashes of the Damned, this is really nice. And again, I don't think any of these other ones are something that are a must-have. Next up, we got Speed Cola, and you're only going to really need to get up to the 3rd one here, because I think with the addition of Mule Kick coming in Season 1, we're going to have 3 weapons. Quick Swap's going to be incredibly helpful to swap weapons faster as our minor. And then for the major augment, I think especially in the early game, I recommend doing Supercharged, where the field upgrades will recharge faster. Now I'm going to take us back over to the ammo mod category, where we're going to actually cover the rest of these ammo mods. The reason for this is Elemental Pop's main benefit is that it pops different ammo mods for you through its activations. Unless, of course, you're using the citrus focus that we were talking about. But once you actually get enough research and have enough augments equipped across all the ammo mods, it's actually nice to get the different activations, because you can take advantage of all these augments that you have equipped through these ammo mods via Elemental Pop, and then specifically put whatever one that you would like on your actual weapon. So for Cryo Freeze, my recommendations are getting up to the 4th and 5th tier here. You're going to want to get Ice Cloud. Enemies that are killed while frozen may leave a cloud that slows enemies. Incredibly helpful, especially if you find certain spots on the map that are kind of limited. You can actually train the zombies, walk them through, and the space or the activation could be wide enough to cover the space, slowing down all of the zombies. And then for the minor, we're going to do Liquid Nitrogen, activates Cryo Freeze more frequently. Next, we're moving over to Napalm Burst, and you're going to want to actually get up to the 6th one here to get access to Firebomb. Burned enemies explode on death, spreading the fire to nearby enemies. And you're also going to want to go ahead and equip Incendiary for your minor. Each damage tick has a chance to spread to nearby enemies. Essentially, you're going to light these enemies on fire with napalm. They're going to go ahead and explode on death, possibly spreading it to other enemies. But also, each tick of the fire that is going on also has a chance to spread to the nearby enemies. And any of them that actually catch on fire are also going to explode and try to spread the fire to more nearby enemies. So you can see how that could be incredibly powerful. Next, we're taking a look at Brain Rot, where you're going to want to get all the way up to Explosive. You're going to want to equip Pheromone as your major augment. The charmed enemy distracts nearby normal and special enemies for a short time. And then you're going to want to pair that with Explosive. The charmed enemies explode at the end of the Brain Rot's duration, dealing toxic damage. It's almost like a toxic damage monkey bomb with this specific combination. And for our last and final ammo mod, we're going to be talking about Shadow Rift. Now, this is probably the only one I recommend specifically setting up with big game, because it just has the largest impact specifically. And I'm also going to equip that with haste, so you only have to go up these first 2. But the Shadow Rift can activate on elite enemies. And normally I just activate this through Elemental Pop, not specifically with it equipped to my weapon. So if you focus damage on a specific elite while you also have Elemental Pop on, you are always given the chance to have that big game activation happen. And if they are partially damaged already, it is a good possibility that that elite will get eliminated using Shadow Rift. So it's definitely the only one I specifically set up with the big game Augment. Now, the last and final thing I want to cover as far as Augment research in this video, again, I said I wasn't covering all of them. We were doing 17 out of the 24. Basically, after this one, the research is up to you and what you guys want to bounce around to. Outside of the fact that I do have a video that I will put in the pinned comment down below that includes what I recommend as far as Augment research once you've essentially researched up to 6 on all of these, basically being in the position that we were coming from Black Ops 6, having already completed our research there. So for Aether Shroud, this is going to be a pretty high level unlock, definitely something you might consider on a second prestige permanent unlock token, maybe first, just depending on how you're feeling. But essentially what you're going to want to get access to is going to be Burst Dash, simply because it impacts the solo player the most. Warp forward a short distance, killing all normal enemies in your path. And you are going to want to get Extension. Aether Shroud duration is significantly increased, which will also give you access to the extra charge here. And basically you can just swap between these at any point, and both of them can be quite beneficial. Now that was an awful lot of yapping, but my hope is that even though I went through each and every one of these in the order that I did, that you guys will try to go through and research these in that order, just stacking the benefits as you go along. I know there's a ton of stuff that you can actually research within this game. It's going to take a ton of time. So at the very least, hopefully this will give you guys the guidance that you need. That's going to wrap things up for us here. Thank you guys for all the support in today's video, all the support of the channel. I look forward to seeing y'all in the next one.